Chapter 19. Blue Rat Messenger. A few minutes later the afterbirth was expelled. Johnny was helped out of the tub. Then he and the baby were cleaned up. Completely exhausted, they were both put to bed, and both were asleep in a matter of moments. The others retired soon after, tired out from their rescue efforts earlier that evening. 20 minutes later, Johnny was awakened from a dead sleep by the sound of James's crying. "Wah?" he said as he awakened groggily to the sounds of a hungry baby and the drumming rain. "They never sleep through the night," Eiko said tiredly as she sat up and looked down at the baby squirming on Johnny's chest with a sweet smile. Dazed and feeling suddenly famished himself, he sat up carefully to spare his abused body as much as possible and stared down at his nephew. He said dumbly. He had an idea of what he needed to do, but it felt awkward and embarrassing. "Here, let me help you," Eiko said as she unbuttoned his loose sleeping shirt. His breasts didn't look quite female, but they were close. They were more developed and almost painfully full. It took a little instruction from and encouragement from Eiko, but soon James clamped down on Johnny's breast and began to suckle. "This is weird," Johnny complained. He stroked the soft black down of the baby's head as he cradled the infant to his breast. Then his stomach growled loudly and Eddie asked, "Is there anything left in the fridge? I'm starving." "Just some leftovers and some food you bought yesterday," Eiko said as she crawled over him and off the bed. "How'd you find that?" he asked. "When we woke early that evening and didn't find you, we went looking for you in the market and thanks to your note," Eiko replied as she brought out some plates and containers of leftover fish, rice, vegetables, hummus, pita bread, and pastries. Then she poured some ice water into 2 cups and started to dish out everything onto the plates. "The old woman in the market was the last to be closing up shop, and she saw the whole thing. She picked up your basket after the soldier left in case someone came looking for you. She wanted to know if you were going to help, gave your basket to me, and told us where to look for you." "That was kind of her," Johnny said as he gingerly sat more upright and crossed his legs. He watched Eiko find the large cutting board from his cabinet and place it on the bed as a makeshift tray to set the cups of water, silverware, and plates. Eiko then sat cross-legged at the opposite end of the bed and watched as Johnny dug in with it ravenously with his free hand. Eiko smiled and remembered the time after her son was born. She had been famished too. They ate in companionable silence for a few minutes, listening to the faint snores from Precious's bedroom, then a burp and a smell of fire. Neither were concerned about anything burning, as everything in the dune lady had been spelled to be dragon-proof, especially her bed. All 3 rats had snuggled in with her, careful to either sleep at her feet or under her fireproof covers. Sleeping by her head was not a safe thing to do if she happened to roll over and let off one of those flaming burps. Johnny was suddenly uncomfortable, but said nothing. He just asked, "Where are we?" Seeing his expression, Eiko smiled in understanding and said, "You need to switch sides. We're just outside the city hiding behind some big rocks. I used the illusion spell to make our ships look like a big pile of rocks, too." Meanwhile, as Johnny was listening to Eiko, he was detaching the baby. James didn't care for this and let out a loud squawk, and that was quickly silenced when Johnny guided his questing mouth to his other gorged breast. "We should leave as soon as the rain stops," Johnny said as he reached for the last bite of fish on his plate. A flashing lightning and a loud crack of thunder followed. "If it stops by tomorrow morning. If it doesn't, we should go anyway. The ships can take it easily enough. Visibility's going to be bad, though." "All right, we can do that," Eiko agreed. Early the next morning the storm abated and Johnny was the first to wake up because James was crying again. This time he needed to have his diaper changed. Johnny groaned and stiffly got up to go to the bathroom, carrying his nephew in his arms. He felt battered and sore in ways he didn't know possible, but was slightly cheered to notice that he now could see his toes while standing up. He cleaned both James and himself, taking time to shave and bind back his remaining hair, glaring angrily at his braid that now resided on the hook behind the bathroom door. Precious had remembered to pick it up and stuff it into her pouch before they had left the cell block, so no one else could use it against Johnny or his loved ones. Not knowing what else to do with it, he just hung it up until he could figure something out. When he came back to the kitchen area dressed, but with his shirt open so he could nurse James, he saw a rat that he recognized as one of Elena's 5 sitting on the counter by the kitchen sink. This one was solid blue-gray with a white star-like mark on his forehead. "Hello, Morningstar," Johnny said politely. "I take it Elena sent you?" "She did," the rat replied as he watched the baby with intent curiosity. "He looks well." "Robustly so," Johnny said happily. "Is she asking about him?" "No," Morningstar replied as Eiko let out a loud snore, then rolled over in her sleep. "She saw the whole thing, even felt some of it because her spell still binds her to you a little. She says you will not likely sleep soundly again for a very long time. Last night, she kept screaming and praying for the goddess for protection. Something about a demon. We did what we could to comfort her and keep her sane. The visions she was having must have been nightmarish. She suffered from belly cramps for hours last night. Ellen said they were a mere echo of what you were going through, but they were bad enough. She knows you named her son after his father, and she's very happy about that. Ellen is sorry she put you through all this. Truly she wishes there wasn't a better way to keep her son safe. She loves her son and misses him deeply. She loves you too and prays for you and your family every day. But this is not the message I am to give you. We worry about her. She cries when no one is looking and works hard to be strong in the presence of her people. She misses her son, mourns her father and her husband. She still loves Richard in spite of the trouble he's caused, and she hates him for it. In spite of that, what she's doing isn't about revenge. She's a good person, and we rats are doing what we can to help her. The message she sent me to give you was that her armies will be on the move tomorrow. You should hide deep in the desert as you can. Richard now knows that you were captured and had escaped again. He's furious, but most of his attention is now directed towards the coming war. He will not be completely diverted for long. Elena trusts that you'll know where to go, so Richard cannot find you. We were going to do that yesterday, but that didn't go as planned, Johnny replied seriously as he thought about what Morningstar had told him, and inwardly winced. He'd wished last night's experiences on no one. With genuine concern, he asked, "Is my sister okay now?" "Tired and resting," Morningstar replied as he walked closer to the edge of the counter in an effort to get a closer look at the baby. He seemed very interested in him. Johnny suspected he might report back to his rat friends to see if there was one that wanted to adopt the boy, or maybe Morningstar wanted him. In families, sometimes a rat would pick more than one person to adopt. "She's giving herself a day to recover," Johnny replied with some relief as he shifted his nephew to his other breast. "Good." Morningstar nodded and craned his neck, still making an effort to get a better look at baby James. Johnny smiled indulgently, leaning over so Morningstar could get a better look. The blue-gray rat looked and sniffed at the suckling baby in his little gown and diaper. He made no comment on the oddity of a man nursing a baby, only interested in committing every detail of the boy into his memory. He even went so far as to place one of his forepaws gently on James's head, patting it. James, too engrossed in eating, paid his rat no attention, happily wiggled his feet. "Personal curiosity is satisfied," Morningstar said as he sat back on his haunches and looked up at Johnny. "Elena sends you and your family her deepest gratitude, and says she'll do what she can to repay you for your troubles should she win the war. Until then you can stay with us for as long as needed," Johnny said reassuringly. "I will tell her that," Morningstar said with a nod. "Thanks," Johnny said. "Send her my love. Let her know that I love her son too." "I will," Morningstar replied, then vanished.